All right. Welcome, everybody, to Mild's Culture Plate. I am your host, Mild Kevin Miles, and this is Wednesday, December the 7th, 2022. And this is going to be a little bit of a laid back Wednesday stream. I've got a little bit to rant about as far as Twitter goes, but I've got an even more personal rant to do. So if y'all will just bear with me. First off, gonna do the usual. First off, welcome. If you're watching, feel free to say hi in the chat. I'll say chat hi. I will try to say hi back. If you're catching me live. If you're not catching me live, thanks for stopping by. So tonight's whiskey is going to be Elijah Craig small batch. Found it in the little airplane size. Going to go ahead and pour that up here real good. All right. So yeah, small batch 1789 Kentucky straight bourbon, 94 proof, 47% alcohol by volume. Go ahead and take a sip of water. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about the Twitter files tonight and the lawyer who apparently has infiltrated the Twitter files, and going to be given some random thoughts and slanderous accusations. I'm kidding, kind of. About that, and I'm going to be talking about social media and the political divide in general. There have been some events over the past couple of weeks that have widened the gap, so to speak, and continued, to promote the idea of a political civil war in this country. Quite frankly, some of that I buy into, some of that I don't, and we'll get into that. But first, let me go ahead and take a sip of the whiskey, and I wanna give the shout out and a toast to. Here it is, December. It's not quite the new year, so I don't want to give it exactly to new beginnings, but there are a lot of people out there who seem to be taking steps for one reason or another. It just seems like a lot of people are taking new steps, right? Starting a new phase of things, or preparing for what the new year might bring. And so, this isn't necessarily to new beginnings, but to getting off your ass and taking that first step. So, cheers to everyone doing something like that. I hope you have much success in whatever you're beginning. It's got almost a fruity note to it. That's an interesting whiskey. Don't know if I like it just yet. There's something about it that kind of, it feels like the fruity note almost doesn't belong. I don't know what that is. So if you're hearing noise, I apologize. Trying to make sure that doesn't happen very often, very loudly, or very frequent. But yeah. So anyway, welcome. Let's go ahead and get into some of the headlines. We've had quite a few celebrities pass away in the past week. I'm not going to name them because, quite frankly, I'm not going to get into this. Which celebrities do I support? Which ones do you support? And, one of them said this one thing on this one political issue. Quite frankly, I don't care. But I do find it quite interesting that so many celebrities have passed away in the last week and a half. So, if it's somebody you've been following, again, cheers to their life, and I wish, I hope wherever they have passed on to is a peaceful place. Yeah, there's something about that I don't think I like. Yeah, let me get a sip of water. Whew. So, ladies and gentlemen, there was an interesting hashtag I saw trending on Twitter earlier. Woman face. I am not brave enough to talk about what that hashtag was talking about, but woman face was trending on Twitter earlier. So go check that out, see what they're talking about, and feel free to use that term if you feel so obliged. Let's see here. Wonder Woman 3 is trending. Oh, Wonder Woman 3 is trending because it has reportedly... Okay, so here's an interesting story. Here we go. By IGN... Okay. Let's do this. Breaking from IGN... Wonder Woman 3 has been canceled by DC Studios. And then the headline says, Wonder Woman 3 reportedly won't move forward under new DC leadership. Wow, folks. And then, Gal Gadot. A few years ago, it was announced that I was going to play Wonder Woman. I've been so grateful for the opportunity to play such an incredible, iconic character. More than anything, I'm grateful for you, the fans. Can't wait to share her next chapter with you. So, even though Wonder Woman 3 apparently has been canceled, apparently there's still a next chapter, according to Gal Gadot. Okay, let me just... Okay. So that's really the only thing of note that I can tell in the Twitter trending hashtags. It's the 81st anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor. So there's, a lot of remembrances for that. But really, yeah. Why is Jennifer Lawrence trending? Oh, Jennifer Lawrence said there was no female action heroes before the Hunger Games. I'll just let y'all sink that one in for a minute, and feel free to go to Twitter and comment about that. But anyway, so yeah, those are the only real trending news stories, other than the kind of the things I've mentioned earlier. So let's go ahead and get right into the meat of the show, and that would be the Twitter Files Supplemental. So on my last live stream, I went over Matt Taibbi's The Twitter Files. And so here's what he says. He says, on Friday, the first installment of the Twitter Files was published here. So if you didn't catch any of that story, let me just give you a very brief recap of what happened previously on the Twitter Files. What previously happened was there was Elon Musk and Matt Taibbi. Elon Musk tasked Matt Taibbi, allegedly, with digging through private email, or the company emails of Twitter and different communications between the different teams of Twitter, and finding out information that the public would be, that should be privy to the public. Things that the public should know. Kind of spicy stuff. And so, upon digging, Matt Taibbi, allegedly Matt Taibbi, on his Twitter feed, released tweet after tweet after tweet. I think in the end there was something like 38 tweets. And there was little bits of information and screenshots of emails. And ultimately what the story as it progressed began to open up was the idea that members of both political parties, but primarily the DNC, was asking Twitter content teams to moderate, censor, delete, ban posts of people who were memeing or making Democrat candidates look bad, particularly Joe Biden. And as the Twitter Files thread continued, there was direct communication with Vijaya Gadde, there was direct communication with different members of the team concerning the Hunter Biden laptop scandal and the censorship of the then White House press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany, and the New York Post, and all these people who were retweeting the Hunter Biden laptop story getting censored and banned from Twitter. And there were a lot of people raising concerns internally, saying, we don't know if we can justify censoring people's free speech on shaky grounds. What do we tell people? And the answer was like, well, it's hacked materials policy. And when that really didn't fly with the internal structure, then, Hunter Biden's laptop, there's kind of personal information in there. We need to censor it because it may reveal personal and private information, naked pictures and stuff. Hey, come on. No news story that was reporting on it was showing naked pictures of Hunter Biden, period. I mean, mainstream news source that was the few big mainstream news sources that were taking to Twitter, they weren't the ones sharing Hunter Biden's penis or his naked pictures or pictures of his niece or whoever that was in those photos with him. So here we are, a few days later, now that there has been this narrative by some online outlets and some mainstream media outlets that this is a nothing burger. This is all stuff we knew. None of this is fresh news, which I even said here on my show the other day that while the stories aren't new, seeing the black and white evidence that they knew what they were doing, that they warned each other that what they were doing wasn't valid, and they continued anyway, and that they were operating at the behest of the DNC, who are operating at the behest of political candidates and government officials. That this is very dangerous to the First Amendment. And now that we have solid proof that some of this was going on, like this is where things start to get serious. And honestly, I don't expect justice. I don't expect members of the DNC to be sued on First Amendment grounds, although James Woods was one of the people who got censored. And now allegedly he's exploring his options, his legal options. But ultimately, I don't expect a lot of this. I don't expect Vijaya Gotti to have to pay a huge cost for her role in this. I don't expect members of our government who, to this day, we don't know, even former members of the government. They had that whole story about 30 former intelligence officials stating that the Hunter Biden laptop was a signature misinformation campaign from Russia. Like, how do you know? No one took the chance to verify it. I mean, CBS did 2 weeks ago. But really, what major news source or government agency? The FBI said they didn't want to touch it. And now here we are. We're told by Twitter now that it's run by Elon Musk and Matt Taibbi. He gives these journalists, Matt Taibbi and Barry Weiss, access to internal communications, and they can see these things developing as they developed in real time a year ago. See how that censorship unfolded and see that it was clearly politically biased and driven by people who are now in the United States government. So, here we are. On Friday, so Matt Taibbi says, on Friday, the first installment of the Twitter Files was published here. We expected to publish more over the weekend. Many wondered why there was a delay. Now, if you remember, Elon Musk said, see you tomorrow for part 2. And then Saturday came and went. No Twitter Files. Sunday came and went. There was a small thread. I think it was Barry Weiss, but there was a small thread just about a rough outline of what Twitter was doing about child pornography and sex trafficking. So there's that thread out there. I could bring it up and read it, and I might bring it up and read it here after I finish this little thread. But anyway, so we expected more Twitter Files. We expected more of this juicy story about collusion between the top echelons of Twitter content censorship and the DNC and other government agents. But that didn't come. And here's back to Matt Taibbi. We can now tell you part of the reason why. On Tuesday, Twitter Deputy General Counsel, parentheses, and former FBI General Counsel Jim Baker was fired. Among the reasons, vetting the first batch of, quote, Twitter files without the knowledge of new management. So, somewhere in between Elon Musk and the servers there at Twitter that held all of these communications and Matt Taibbi, somewhere in between those servers and Matt Taibbi, there's this crooked, I say crooked, former FBI, pro-Democrat, anti-Trump, anti-right-wing lawyer who was hired by Jack and Vijaya to do shit like this, who apparently was handling and vetting which Twitter files Matt Taibbi would get. The process for producing the Twitter files involved delivery to 2 journalists, Barry Weiss and me, via a lawyer close to new management. However, after the initial batch, things became complicated. Over the weekend, while we both dealt with obstacles to new searches, it was Barry Weiss who discovered that the person in charge of releasing the files was someone named Jim. When she called back to ask Jim's last name, the answer came back, Jim Baker. My jaw hit the floor, says Weiss. The first batch of emails both reporters received was marked Spectra Baker emails. Baker is a controversial figure. He's been something of a zealot of FBI controversies dating back to 2016, from the Steele dossier to the Alpha server mess. He resigned in 2018 after an investigation into leaks to the press. The news that Baker was reviewing the Twitter files surprised everyone involved, to say the least. New Twitter chief Elon Musk acted quickly to exit Baker Tuesday. Reporters resumed searches through the Twitter files material, a lot of it today. The next installment of the Twitter files will appear on Barry Weiss's Twitter feed. Stay tuned. So, the plot has now thickened. So, I've got two major thoughts here. This is real fucking convenient, isn't it? I mean, everyone throughout the weekend was, they were saying this was a nothing burger. And even I, like I said, had pointed out that this was mostly known information. That for several hours of tweet and wait and tweet and wait and tweet and wait from Matt Taibbi, we weren't really privy to new information, just new internal communication about what their side of that information looked like. And so Twitter has faced a little criticism in this, and people calling it a nothing burger, people downplaying the importance of the DNC directly censoring people like James Woods, censoring the New York Post, censoring Kayleigh McEnany. We knew they were censored and wrongfully censored, but this was the signed confession, right? This was the proof. But again, when we're promised there's more to come, and they find out, or ultimately it looks like the smoking gun isn't coming out. It looks like the juicy stuff's being held back. And then come to find out, highly publicized, by the way, that Jim Baker was hired by Twitter. It was highly publicized. And here's what fucks me up. Here's what pisses me off about this whole situation. This whole thread I just read acted like, oh my God, we were so surprised that this FBI lawyer was working at Twitter and handling our privileged communication. We've been told for weeks that Elon Musk is cleaning house and getting rid of the corrupt people, just like we were told for 4 years that Donald Trump was draining the swamp within our government. And the way that looked was people resigning left and right, people getting fired left and right, but ultimately the most corrupt stayed in place. Trump didn't get rid of Fauci. Ultimately, Vice President Pence didn't have Trump's back. I'm not saying he should or should not have. I'm not playing into those games. But let's face it, the president says he wants to drain the swamp and clean house, and yet the man sitting to his right does not support him. Fair enough. So, you go on, now you see this with Twitter. All of these big news stories about how Elon Musk is cleaning house, and this whole joke about Ligma and Johnson and them losing their job. It was a troll. But all of these other people, the photograph of the all-female content team versus the all-male restructuring team, all of these propaganda, nothing burger stories about how Elon Musk was finally doing something about the bias at Twitter. Meanwhile, to me, just my opinion, if you're going to buy a company, one of the first fucking things you do, after maybe the CEO, make sure the CEO's not there no more, make sure the Vijaya Gotti, the content manager, stops vomiting their bias all over the website. The next thing you do is figure out who the fucking lawyers are. If you don't know the lawyers you are paying, that's a fucking problem. And how long is Elon Musk? Let's see. When did Elon buy Twitter? November 1st? Yeah, I can't. Anyway, so it's been well over a month. Well over a month. Okay, so October 26th, the Friday before October 26th. So yeah, this has been almost a month and a half now. You have owned this company for a month and a half and don't know who the frickin' lawyers are. You have owned this company for a month and a half and don't know the people who have access to your privileged communication network, your internal servers, the things behind the scenes that allow the people that make your website work talk to each other. This person has access to it and you don't know who they are, even though their hiring was highly publicized. You cleaned house, but you left a big pile of shit on the welcome mat. And that pile of shit stunk up the fucking windows and the doorway, and people walked through it, tracked it throughout the house, and now you have a house full of shit. Your house is shit. Hold on. There's one more thing here. One more thing I want to bring up. Where did it go? What did I do with it? I should have had it. I should have had it in an alternate tab. My apologies. So stick with me for just a moment. These journalists like to tweet a lot. Maybe I should do this. Here, let me try this. Let me try searching for Jim Bakker. Yeah, it looks like so people are posting screenshots of Google where they Google Jim Bakker Twitter, and Twitter acts like it can't find any information. I saw a tweet earlier from a reputable source that claimed there was evidence that appears to perhaps, that tweet appears to have been perhaps deleted. Let's see what this says. Okay, so yeah, let's go through this. Okay, hang on. Here we go. So this is what we'll do. So December 2nd, tune in for episode 2 of the Twitter Files tomorrow. And then December 3rd, looks like we'll need another day or so. Now here we go. Jack himself, the former CEO of Twitter. If the goal is transparency to build trust, why not just release everything without a filter and let people judge for themselves, including all discussions around current and future actions? Make everything public now. Hashtag Twitter Files. I will get to that tweet in just a moment, but the next one, the one you see, most important data was hidden from you too, Jack, and some may have been deleted, but everything we find will be released. So, some shit was hidden and some may have been deleted. All right, let me bring this down for a second because I still want to look for the other tweet that I saw. But this, okay, so this doesn't say right out, but it kind of insinuates that perhaps this Jim Bakker story may have some link to these files being deleted. We don't know yet. I saw some tweets earlier where people were making those claims. I think they may have backed off of those claims. I'm not quite sure yet. I will continue to dig. But in the meantime, I want to mention this. So there are a lot of people who have come out in the last couple of days and told Elon, and again, let me be fucking clear. Elon, you're a fucking idiot if you expect me to buy that you didn't know who your lawyers were. I mean, if you didn't, then Twitter has bigger problems than an $8 alternative fundraising plan that doesn't make Twitter so reliant upon advertisers, right? You know, this is his big plan is to give things for us, the users, to pay for, to add to their bottom dollar so that they don't have to use so much advertising. I'm trying to find this real quick. Okay, so yeah, a lot of people are taking this take of just release all the files. Just release all the files. Release everything. Don't do it through a journalist. Just dump it somewhere and let us go through it. You know, why give all of this to one or two journalists? You know, Matt Taibbi and Barry Weiss. You know, why let these two journalists dig through and decide what's important? And that's actually part of my criticism here. Is we were told that that's actually what he was doing. That he was just going to let Matt and Barry determine what was important. But, you know, now we find out that there's a whole legal team between the files and Matt and Barry. So it does look sus. I'm not one of those who is on the train of just dump everything. Just dump everything. Because then you give ammunition to your enemies. You know, it's this idea that we could push you enough to tell you what to do and you'll do it. I don't know if I agree with those kind of tactics. You know, there is something to be said for sunshine, and sunshine is the ultimate disinfectant. Blah blah blah. But I honestly think some of this you need to just hang on to. Keep it in your pocket. Release the most important, but keep one really juicy bit in your pocket. So that when they think all this is said and done, this is 4D chess here, when they think all is said and done, and the Twitter files have all been released, there's nothing else possibly incriminating, boom, you still got one little batch of files that shows real collusion, real problems. And I fucking hope that there's more juicy bits in there of Twitter employees talking about Section 30, or Section 230, excuse me. Talking about their government protections. I hope there's some juicy bits of them talking about that, because that would give so much ammunition. Now, granted, the Democrats just took the Senate, so it's not like a House investigation is going to go very far. But if Republicans can get off their ass and figure out how to run a damn election, maybe in 2024, they could take a couple of Senate seats, maybe the presidency. I doubt it, but we'll see. But you got to fix the election process first. And I'm not going to get off on that tangent, but you got to get more involved. Republicans have to get more involved if they want to do something about stuff like this. And Section 230 being on the table, at the very least, it should be on the discussion table, right? So that's where I'm going with this. Is that hopefully Elon Musk is keeping a juicy little bit involving Section 230 and involving government oversight of social media platforms for just the right time to drop the bomb and be like, yeah, well, this is what Twitter was doing, and we got evidence that they were doing it over here on these other platforms too. Now, Musk claims they don't have that evidence that other platforms were colluding with Twitter. But again, I don't even know. He says some of this stuff was hidden from himself and hidden from Jack Dorsey and maybe even hidden from Vijaya Gotti. I don't know. But if some of this stuff is so hidden that they have to dig it up, who knows? Maybe when Elon said that there was no evidence of collusion with other websites, maybe he just hasn't found it yet. Maybe he just hasn't seen enough yet. Maybe, just maybe, they'll hire some computer forensic experts to dig up and find whatever may be further hidden or further deleted. Again, I don't know that Jim Baker was involved in the deleting or removal of files or the hiding of files. But again, this whole story is fucking sus. Okay, I said I would bring up more about Twitter. I said I'd read the thread that came out the other day. So this is another interesting Twitter files kind of thread. This isn't necessarily the Twitter files. This is Andrea Stropa. Don't really know who this is. Oh, worked as an independent researcher along with Twitter's trust and safety team, led by expert Miss Ella Irwin. So, this is interesting because for the longest time, there have been a lot of, harmful child content and predatory content and pornography and all kinds of just disgusting behaviors that seem to be not only allowed on Twitter but encouraged on Twitter. Anyway, we'll get into the story here. Updates about fighting against child sexual exploitation content on Twitter. During these weeks, I worked as an independent researcher along with Twitter's trust and safety team led by expert Miss Ella Irwin. And again, this is Andrea Stropa, a cybersecurity data analyst and SpaceX fan. Anyway, so I worked as an independent researcher along with Twitter's trust and safety team led by expert Miss Ella Irwin. Twitter achieved some relevant results that I want to share with you. 3. Twitter updated its mechanism to detect content related to child sexual abuse and exploitation material. Faster, more efficient, and more aggressive. No mercy for those who are involved in these illegal activities. 4. The daily suspension rate has almost doubled over the past few days. Means that Twitter is doing a capillary analysis of contents, especially those published in the past. It doesn't matter when illicit content has been published, Twitter will find it and act accordingly. 5. In the past 24 hours, Twitter started to step up its efforts and took down 44,000 suspicious accounts, including over 1,300 profiles that tried to bypass detection using code words and text in images to communicate. Zero tolerance. 44,000 Twitter accounts. Now, I don't know necessarily what they're using to define the phrase suspicious accounts, but if it's tied into child exploitation and pornography, if you're looking for that kind of stuff, if you're sharing that kind of stuff, I don't care which end you're on. If this is true, if this was one of your accounts or whatever, you're a sicko. 6. Twitter is aware of strategies, KWs, I'm assuming that's keywords, external URLs, and communication methods used by suspicious accounts. Moreover, to increase its ability to protect children's safety, Twitter involves independent and expert third parties. 7. Twitter, precisely in these hours, is focusing its efforts on network of Spanish-speaking and Portuguese-speaking users that shares child exploitation, that share child sexual exploitation content. Number 8, Twitter continues to have teams in place dedicated to investigating and taking action on these types of violations daily. Teams are more determined than ever and composed of passionate experts. Furthermore, Twitter simplified the process of users reporting illicit content. And finally, 9, if Twitter is now fighting vigorously against child sexual exploitation content, it's thanks to one person that set it as the number one priority, Elon Musk. Twitter is now a safer place under Elon's leadership, and this is just the beginning. And then Elon Musk says, thank you for helping with this important problem. So this seems like a PR fluff piece, right? You know, I think it's one thing I applaud Elon Musk for doing is he's not using fucking press releases. He's not taking his message to the Washington Post or the New York Post or the New York Times or whatever, MSNBC, CNN, Fox. He's not going to the mainstream media. He's not doing fucking press releases. He's got access to the biggest journalistic tool in the universe. And he's dumping his press releases, essentially, onto Twitter because he knows Twitter is the best tool for spreading news. That it is the best platform for getting the word out. It is better than every newspaper on the fucking planet. It is better than every communication device in the universe. If you are Elon Musk, all you have to do is use your own website called Twitter to promote anything you want. And so this whole thread about what Twitter is doing to fight child sexual exploitation content, I applaud their efforts. I am pretty sure I have run into CP on Twitter in the past. It's fucking disgusting. Unfortunately, when I found it through some of the pedo bullshit. You know, people were upset at someone talking about pedo shit. And then, you know, I monkey branched from one account to another and, you know, found people talking, and then poof, you know, there's disgusting imagery on fucking Twitter. I reported it. I didn't go back. And quite frankly, I didn't go to Twitter for a few weeks after that, and so I don't really know what happened. I'm assuming that account got banned, but who knows? But here we are. Again, Elon Musk has had control of Twitter for just over a month and a half. And now, in a matter of a few days, 44,000 accounts have been moderated. Properly moderated. Now, I'm assuming that the timing, and again, this is PR. This is fucking PR. I give them praise if they were actually doing it. I give them praise if this is a new development. I give them praise because, quite frankly, I try my best not to see the gross shit that happens on Twitter. I know it's there and I know it's disgusting and I would rather fucking not. But Twitter is the place where a lot of news develops, a lot of news happens. And quite frankly, I wouldn't have shit to talk about on many of these live streams if it wasn't for news stories developing on Twitter. So I gotta give Twitter its props. But again, this is simply a PR story. This is pure PR. And the timing of this thread coming out just days after the quote-unquote Twitter files, where it talks about Vijaya Gotti and Jack Dorsey and the efforts they took to create a quote-unquote safe platform. The steps they took were, let's silence our political enemies to create a quote safe platform. Meanwhile, the child pornography, the child trafficking, the perversions on a daily basis that exist on Twitter as a platform. And you saw it right there in that thread. People using alternative spellings and manipulative language to bypass AI detection. That this is what they're involved in on social networks. The fact that this wasn't a priority for the previous ownership of the biggest social network in the United States. That instead, they were concerned with who was saying bad things about the son of the former vice president, because he wasn't president at the time. They were more concerned with who's saying bad things about the son of the former vice president than whether or not people were sharing naked pictures of your children. That was their idea of having a safe social media network. I'm hearing rumblings that round 2 of the Twitter files is coming in the next day or two. It will probably happen tomorrow, and I'll probably cover it on my Saturday show, depending on how juicy it is. There are some other news stories out there I could cover, and quite frankly, tell me, are you sick of hearing about Twitter and the Twitter files? Are you sick of hearing about Elon Musk and Vijaya Gotti and all of these cast of characters? Let me know. Tell me down in the comments below, or show up Saturday and let me know in my live chat. I'm totally willing to interact with anyone who wants to come in and have an actual conversation in my live chat. So yeah. Let me know below if you want me to cover different topics. Quite frankly, this is one that upset me. The idea that Elon Musk had no fucking clue who his own lawyers were. And that these people had access to the internal communication systems that were the backbone infrastructure of Twitter, of his entire investment. The back channels that make the website work. I know Elon's smarter than that. So you gotta wonder, who's watching the Watchmen? Who's vetting the vetters? And If I'm Matt Taibbi, I want to know who else has accessed these databases in the past 60 days. If I'm Barry Weiss, I want to know if Jim Baker has forwarded any internal privileged communication to members of the United States government or the DNC or any other intelligence or media apparatus. I want to know if I'm assuming because he was part of the legal team that he's officially a lawyer and he's subject to client confidentiality, non-disclosure. I'm assuming those things exist. But again, if you look at Jim Baker's recent history, I'm not going to go over it here, but if you look at Jim Baker's recent history, I don't think you can trust that even with an NDA or even with the potential of losing his law license, I don't think you can trust that he hasn't done something to compromise Twitter in the last 60 days. I could be wrong, and I'm willing to be proved wrong, but this is where we're at. So I'm going to drink more of this funny whiskey. Folks, I want to say, I like buying new whiskeys and trying them out. It's one of my favorite parts of this show, but over the next few months, you'll probably see me with the same bottle a few times over, because I can't keep trying new stuff when I have so much good stuff I could be drinking. So that's not saying new whiskey isn't a staple of this show and won't come back. New whiskey will definitely come back, but for the next few shows, I think we're going to cycle back through some of the whiskeys you've seen here previously, and this Elijah Craig is not going to be one of them. So if you've enjoyed this show, do me a huge favor. Smash that thumbs up. Smash it. Smash that like button. Grind on it. Make sure it turns red. Just kidding. Smash the like button. Subscribe to this channel. Hit the bell for notifications so that next time I go live, you can be here chatting with me. If you like my takes, if you like my whiskey rants, I didn't really get into an angry rant today. There was another thing I was kind of wanting to cover, but we just ran out of time talking about these 3 Twitter Files threads. So I wish I could have ranted a little more. I had an angry rant chambered up. We might get to that on Saturday if this Twitter Files shit doesn't develop. Kind of wanted to cover a little bit of what's been happening with Tim Pool and some of these other live streamers and some of the political violence that's been happening in our country. But, quite frankly, it's personal. I think it's kind of personal towards some of those people. So, I'm not going to grift off of someone else's, drama. Not going to do it. I mean, I kind of do sometimes, but not going to do it today. I thought the Twitter stuff was more important. We covered it. We got through it. We kicked its ass, and we'll catch you next time on Miles Culture Plate. If you enjoy this content, please share it off platform with someone else that you know might enjoy this content. The whiskey rants, the Batman rants, the pop culture rants, which I will probably have another review stream coming up pretty soon. I'm going to try to make these review streams a movie, a TV show, a comic. Kind of try to keep it in that format. Not sure how long that's going to work or how well that's going to work, because sometimes I see 2 movies before I catch a whole season of a TV show. And, I kind of want to be a completist if I'm going to give an honest opinion. So that's that. It's now the end of the show. Please come back this Saturday, 4 p.m., right here on Mild's Comics Played on YouTube. The Rumble link is down in the description if you'd rather follow me on Rumble. As of right now, I don't do live streams on Rumble. What tends to happen is after the video is processed, then I can add it to my Rumble channel. So a lot of times that doesn't happen until I'm live streaming the next time. So you're 1 show behind if you're following me on Rumble. But being 1 show behind isn't that bad. It's only a couple of days. So feel free, follow me on Rumble. Eventually, if I get enough followers, then I can turn it into a live stream platform. But again, I have to grow this channel. So you can help me do that. So please share the links. Please follow me on all the social media. My Twitter handle's down in the description. Like, share, subscribe. Do everything you can to pump this channel up. And I'll catch you next time right here on Mild's Culture Plate. Thank you, everybody. Love you all. Don't get any on you. And if you do, rub that shit in real good. Peace.